The COVID-19 endgame law goes into effect. We're in one of the only places in the state that's keeping a mask mandate.
Money can't buy you love, but you know what it can buy you? A concert ticket to see live music. We'll tell you why and all about it coming up.
It was a nice but fairly cool day here across the state. Lots of sunshine, but for your Saturday, get ready for warmer temperatures ahead of your next cool down. Plus, when will we see more rain and snow? Your forecast is coming up.
It is clearly more contagious, and it is likely to be more deadly.
Plus, we look into how new variants of COVID-19 are harming young people, the warnings, and how to stay safe.
I really think it's magical.
And the blooming has begun.
Going on a family stroll.
The cherry blossoms are brightening the Utah State Capitol. How you can take part in the tradition and what you need to know.
Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13's Live at 5 starts right now.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. I'm Bob Evans.
And I'm Tamara Vaifanua. Tomorrow, the statewide mask mandate will be lifted, but there are still a handful of places where you'll still be required to mask up.
Fox 13's Ben Winslow reports from one of those places.
I'm here in Moab, one of the only places in the state to keep its mask mandate after the COVID-19 endgame law goes into effect. If you want a cup of coffee or a sandwich at the very popular Moab Garage Co.,
yes, ma'am. Thank you.
You're welcome. You've got to mask up.
We really try to accommodate everybody. We want everyone to feel welcome in our space.
Grand County has extended its mask mandate until June. It was one of the first places to issue one when COVID-19 hit Utah.
We host over 3 million people a year. That's huge for a county of 9,000 people. Our hospital is small. We don't have an ICU. If we had an outbreak in Moab, it would be a crisis quickly.
The legislature passed the bill nicknamed the COVID-19 Endgame. Its most controversial provision drops the statewide mask mandate on April 10th. The new law does allow county governments to issue their own face covering requirements. Salt Lake City Mayor Aaron Mendenhall issued an emergency order to keep a mask mandate in place for Utah's capital city. Governor Spencer Cox tells Fox 13 he's not going to stop her.
I don't think it matters because I think we're all getting there and getting to the end of this, and we're trying to keep people safe. I recognize the mayor and what she's trying to do and wanting to keep people safe, and again, she has that prerogative.
So far, Grand County and Salt Lake City are the only communities to keep mask mandates in place.
For Nick, yep, sugar-free vanilla and oat milk.
At Moab Garage Co., they're okay with it.
I think it's a good thing to do for now, just given the amount of visitors that we see throughout the year. It makes our staff feel more comfortable in the space, and that's one of the biggest things that's important to us.
Utah's governor encourages people to keep wearing masks until more people are vaccinated.
I will continue to wear a mask until I'm fully vaccinated and the people I'm around are fully vaccinated.
Now, this is important. After the law goes into effect on April 10th, a mask mandate will still remain in place for all public schools in Utah, K through 12, and gatherings over 50 people. In addition, Governor Cox has issued a mask mandate for state-run facilities like driver license offices or state-run liquor stores. Salt Lake County's mayor has also issued one for all county-owned facilities. In Moab, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
As Ben just mentioned, Salt Lake County Mayor Jenny Wilson implemented a policy that will require masks in all Salt Lake County facilities, such as county libraries and recreation areas or centers. She says cities in the county may have different mask requirements, but if a business is requiring a mask, then you need to wear one. She says watch for postings and signage and suggests defaulting to wearing the mask for multiple reasons.
I think it's just good common sense. Not only is it easier just to put your mask on when you're out in public, you don't have to ask the question, is it required or not? But I think it will protect our health as well.
Mayor Wilson says the Salt Lake County Health Department created measurable levels and could adjust mask mandates if COVID cases get worse.
One Intermountain doctor recommended today that Utah residents continue to wear masks, even though the statewide mask mandate is expiring tonight. Dr. Kristen Dascone says that by lifting restrictions too early, more transmissible variants of COVID-19 could be spread before people have the opportunity to be vaccinated. She says by continuing to mask up, Utahns can help keep businesses open and communities safe.
Despite the mask mandate lifting, I think we need to be respectful to businesses when they ask for masking, because it is still relevant both to their to their patrons who are coming in, but also their workers who are in the facilities.
Intermountain facilities will still require face masks for employees, patients, and guests after the mandate expires in order to protect vulnerable patients in their care. University of Utah Health announced this afternoon that face masks will be required after the state mandate lifts tomorrow. Masks will be required at all times at their hospitals, outpatient clinics, and neighborhood health centers.
The Utah State Courts will continue to require masks even after the mask mandate is lifted. The judiciary, which is an independent branch of the government, has the power to do that for its facilities. The mask requirement will apply to all district courts around the state. Tonight, the Maverick Center will host one of the very first large concerts in Utah since the beginning of the pandemic.
Fox 13's Spencer Joseph is there live with a look at how the performers and those behind the scenes hope this is the beginning of a rebound. Been a long time coming, Spencer.
It really has been a long time coming. And for all of those people that work on these shows, whether they're on stage or behind the scenes, they're saying this is a big breath of fresh air after a very tough year.
This song I'd like to dedicate to everyone who's made it through this year and everyone we lost this year.
It seems just like
yesterday
that the thought of ever seeing a concert again seems so far away. But hopefully with the return of concerts like this one Friday night, they'll be here to stay.
This is what we do.
This is Steve Landis, or John Lennon in Rain, a Beatles tribute band. And they will be performing Friday night at the Maverick Center in one of the first big concerts in Utah. As a performer,
we were able to kind of get through things by, if we can't be on stage, at least I can, pick up an acoustic guitar.
But for those behind the scenes, across the arts.
For our crew that haven't worked this whole year and can't do something like that, they've had to look for other work.
Just hearing these guys right now, the audience is going to go nuts.
And for Steve Boulay, he knows that all too well.
Not being backstage and not being able to employ people, it sucks. I couldn't be happier right now than doing these shows.
And then there's the fans.
The whole reason why we do what we do is because of that live audience interaction. So doing this, having this light at the end of the tunnel, it's something that we all need.
So with a successful rehearsal,
it clicked. Sound check today was like we had just done a gig last week.
It's time for concerts to return tonight and in the coming months.
I think maybe people are going to realize what a spectacular, wonderful thing performing arts and clubs are and love it and value it all that much more.
So moving forward, the Maverick Center will still require masks and social distancing even as the statewide mask mandate lifts. In West Valley City, Spencer Joseph, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Thank you, Spencer. Tonight's concert is part of the Utah Department of Heritage and Arts Thrive 125 program, which aims to bring back live performances to Utah stages. And don't forget, we've created a news section on our front page to answer questions that you may have about the mask mandate's conclusion and what it all means to you. You can find it right when you get to our website. Just go to fox13now.com.
Well, I tell you what, Rain really has the Beatles down. I mean, the guy portraying Paul McCartney, he's even playing left-handed.
Yeah.
Like
well, hey, you know what? We need some rain here across Utah. Our drought situation very bleak here across the state. So I showed you that yesterday. It gets released every Thursday, and it has not changed. So most of the state's still extreme or exceptional drought. And I do have some storms I'm tracking in the extended forecast, but not for your Friday night. Right now, it's the 50s for most of the state. 70s currently in St. George. The rest of your Friday night here in Salt Lake City, we'll keep it in the 50s till about 9 p.m. and then you'll be into the 40s. We will have mostly clear sky tonight, so as you wake up tomorrow morning, it'll be on the chilly side. And then our wind is really going to ramp up again tomorrow, especially up into southern Idaho and southern Wyoming. But right now that wind is still breezy. Evanston down through Price, all the way through Bryce Canyon, gusting about 20 to 25 miles per hour. So for for tomorrow, we'll continue with red flag warnings for the western Uinta Basin, Roosevelt over towards Duchesne. And so we'll want to keep our eye especially on this area of the state. But as you wake up tomorrow here along the Wasatch Front, if you're an early riser, 5 a.m., 40 degrees, by 7 a.m., 41. You could totally go for a walk by 9 a.m. with just a light jacket. Temperatures close to 50 degrees. But tomorrow will be the warmest day of the weekend ahead of that next front that arrives tomorrow night. And as I mentioned, I am tracking the chance for some rain and snow eventually. I'll let you know when, coming up in the full forecast.
Thank you, Allison. Still to come, more medical experts take the stand in the Derek Chauvin murder trial, what they're revealing as we reach what should be the midway point in the trial.
And see what Utah State leaders say about the fate of the Bears Ears and Grand Staircase Escalante National Monuments just one day after the Interior Secretary paid a visit.
Today was the last day of witness testimony in the second week of the Derek Chauvin murder trial. He's a former Minneapolis police officer accused of killing George Floyd.
Jurors heard from a doctor who discussed Floyd's cause of death. Court TV legal correspondent Chanley Painter has the latest from Minneapolis.
The doctor, considered one of the most critical witnesses in the Derek Chauvin trial, takes the stand Friday afternoon. Dr. Andrew Baker is the chief Hennepin County medical examiner, and he performed George Floyd's autopsy. He ruled Floyd's cause of death to be cardiopulmonary arrest, complicated law enforcement subdual, restraint, and neck compression.
Having your cheek up against the asphalt, an abrasion on your shoulder, those events are going to cause stress hormones to pour out into your body, specifically things like adrenaline. And what that adrenaline is going to do is it's going to ask your heart to beat faster. It's going to ask your body for more oxygen so that you can get through that altercation. And in my opinion, the law enforcement subdual, restraint, and the neck compression was just more than Mr. Floyd could take by virtue of those heart conditions.
The key part of defense attorney Eric Nelson's strategy is to convince the jury that other factors, such as pre-existing medical conditions and the presence of fentanyl and meth, may have caused George Floyd's death. Dr. Baker could be the final witness as week 2 wraps up in this trial. For week 3, we could see the end of the prosecution's case in chief and the defense take over testimony. That's the latest from here in downtown Minneapolis. I'm Chanley Painter with Court TV.
Find the latest updates on the Derek Chauvin murder trial on our sister network, Court TV. Over the air, that's channel 13.3. They're also available on Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, and on Android devices.
The United Kingdom is mourning the passing of Queen Elizabeth's husband, Prince Philip. Buckingham Palace is making arrangements to honor his life. He passed away today at the age of 99 at Windsor Castle. Prince Philip and the Queen had been married for more than 70 years. He was one of the few men in history to serve as a consort to a queen and the longest in Britain. He retired from his royal duties in 2017 and was released from the hospital last month after being treated for a heart condition. His funeral is expected to take place in the next 10 days. Hip-hop artist DMX has died. His family says the Grammy-nominated performer died after suffering, quote, catastrophic cardiac arrest. He was rushed to a hospital in White Plains, New York from his home on April 2nd. He was 50 years old. Still to come, after more than 70 years, there is a big change at Bountiful High School. See the new mascot announced today.
And for many pets, their forever home is with an active service member. So what happens when they get deployed? One group is helping with that question.
Well, happy Friday, everyone. Thanks for joining Fox 13 News Live at 5. Meteorologist Allison Crook. Gosh, what a beautiful day it is out there. We should be doing this outside, shouldn't we?
Gorgeous.
It would be wonderful to do it outside. Allison's going to have our weekend forecast coming up.
Not a bad idea, but hey, drivers, listen up. Just want to give you a heads up. There are some big changes happening to I-15 in Davis and Weber counties.
That's right. We're talking about changes that will impact your commute for the rest of the year. Fox 13's Danny Ruberti gets us up to speed.
Good evening, everyone. I want to give a heads up to my drivers through Davis and Weber counties over the next several months. UDOT is splitting lanes along I-15 between Clearfield and Roy. That started today for my northbound drivers from 7th South to 650 North, and it's going to go into effect Tuesday for all southbound lanes from 56 South to 650 North. Now, this lane split is going to last until the end of 2021, and it's all part of that Davis-Weber Express Lanes project that's really going to help congestion in this area as they're working on a median right now. And I know it's going to be a little bit of a pain and it's going to slow folks down for just a little bit, but it's all going to be worth it when it gets finished in the end. Sending things back to you guys.
All right. Well, pets are part of our families. We all know that. But what happens when a service member is deployed and can't take their pet with them?
Maya Rodriguez introduces us to a nonprofit that has come up with a solution.
Good girl. For Air Force Lieutenant Colonel Philip Shapiro.
I've always been a really big dog person.
And his dog, Linda.
She loves it out here. Yeah.
It's all about the simple things in life.
Going on her walks are her favorite thing.
But going on a walk is no small feat for Linda.
Oh, are you excited? I knew she had an injured leg.
The year was 2014, and Lieutenant Colonel Shapiro found himself deployed to Bulgaria.
I was a C-130 pilot for about 9 years. I went out as part of a joint exercise with the Bulgarian Air Force, and the first day we showed up, there was Linda.
Linda was a stray and not in good shape. She had been shot in the leg. Lieutenant Colonel Shapiro fed her, got her to a vet, and decided to bring her back to the U.S. with him. But in the back of his mind, he knew any future deployment might present an issue.
I was a single guy at the time and had a new responsibility with Linda, and I had an idea that I was going to need help.
That's when he got to know the nonprofit, Dogs on Deployment.
It really is a very tangible way to reduce the stress of our service members.
The group's founder and CEO, Elisa Johnson.
I was active duty. I know the stress of that life.
In the 10 years since Dogs on Deployment began, the group has helped more than 2,400 pets all across the country find temporary foster homes while their military owners are deployed.
One of the great things about Dogs on Deployment is it really provides the opportunity for anybody to get involved and directly impact a service member's life and for a positive cause.
Once a volunteer, called a pet boarder, is checked out,
they meet the pet owner and then a placement is made. So we really rely on our supporters to help us get that word out organically.
Good girl.
Lieutenant Colonel Shapiro hasn't had to use their service yet. Come here. But he entered Linda in an online contest to be the organization's mascot for the year.
I campaigned hard for Linda.
And she won. Though it hasn't gone to her head.
People always remark at how calm she is. She's just a pretty, low-key dog.
A serenity earned after a tough life. In Alexandria, Virginia, I'm Maya Rodriguez.
Dogs on Deployment.
Oh,
what a great idea.
Yes, awesome.
Have you heard the term severe clear before? I think that's a meteorological
Yeah, I was on my final exam in meteorology school, I think.
Really?
And it was coined by a guy named Bob Evans. It's just so crazy.
Oh, wow. I'm learning something new. Every moment I'm in your presence, Bob.
You're welcome.
Well, it is pretty clear here across the state right now. Our sun is going to go down around 7, 8 o'clock tonight, and then it will rise tomorrow around same time. So we're going to end up with clear sky for the rest of your evening. Now, looking across the Wasatch Front is very nice. This is a live look from our Ochre Cam towards Salt Lake City. Here in Salt Lake, it's mid-50s, so we'll have temperatures in the 50s until that sun goes down at 8:01, and then we'll have those temperatures back into the 40s by about 10 o'clock tonight. But St. George, not severe clear here. We do have a few clouds, mostly clear sky, though. We do have dry roads here across the state, so no problems for your commute tonight. Any activities that you have planned for tomorrow, I want to add maybe bringing a kite on that list if you're going to go to the park. because by tomorrow afternoon, the wind will pick up again. But for tonight, we'll continue with gusty wind, Heber down through Price, up through Evanston, about 20-25 miles per hour. Same thing into Moab, Blanding, Bryce, and Panguitch. And then tomorrow, our wind picks up ahead of our next cold front. So our front that moved through last night brought some cooler temperatures for today, but still just stunning views here across northern Utah. Deer Valley, Bald Mountain looking out towards Jordanelle. It's closing weekend for Deer Valley, and we're getting pretty close to boating season. Still a few months away, but we're getting there. Cherry Peak, Cache Cam, nice afternoon across far northern Utah, and then into central Utah. Price right now, clear sky. So we're going to have these temperatures for Salt Lake City, as I mentioned, in the 50s through about 9 o'clock tonight. And then you're back into the 40s around 10 p.m. But we'll have that clear sky here tonight, which means it will be a little on the cooler side tomorrow morning. But as we wind down on this Friday night, temperatures around 55 to 65 here across the state. St. George right now in the 70s. It's a little bit cooler than this time 24 hours ago, and this is across the board. So we're going to have those temperatures tomorrow, really warming up tomorrow here across the state. It doesn't get better than this. For a Saturday, it'll be around 70 in Salt Lake City, Park City close to 60. So spring skiing for closing weekend. And for St. George, mid-80s, and for Moab in the 70s tomorrow. But let's talk about the next couple of days, because our next cold front arrives tomorrow night. That wind will ramp up, especially across northern Utah, by Saturday around 5 p.m. So if you want to grill tomorrow night, keep that in mind. Bulk of the precipitation stays off to our north, but that's all we have going on in the immediate future. But middle of next week is when I'm tracking better chances for rain and snow to return here across a lot of the region. But waking up tomorrow morning around 30 to 40 for the Wasatch Front, in the 20s for the mountains. And then tomorrow afternoon, highs will be around 60 to 70 here across the state, with another day in the 80s for St. George. You'll actually be in the 80s through the middle part of next week. Then you'll cool down. Tuesday becomes windy, and then you see that cool down Wednesday and Thursday. Salt Lake City, very nice weekend ahead, at least the first half of it. By Sunday on the cooler side, but not bad, 52. And then more chances for rain and snow next week. We'll talk more about that coming up in the next full forecast.
Utah State University started vaccinations today. So will they end their mask mandate along with the state?
First responders in Salt Lake City are going the extra mile to be the best they can be.
We're always going to try to be on the cutting edge of what we can do to help those in our community.
See the new training they just completed and how a Utah Jazz star played a big role in making it happen.
And attention Amazon shoppers, if you're a big fan of Amazon Prime Day, there may be even more major savings around the corner.
As more people get their COVID-19 vaccine, employers are thinking about bringing people back to work in person.
But a new survey says that some of those employees don't want to return to the office. A study by staffing firm Robert Half says about 1 in 3 people who currently work from home would start looking for a new job if asked to return to the office full time. Nearly half of the people surveyed say they prefer to divide their time evenly, working from home and working in the office. About 1,000 people were part of the study.
Multiple reports indicate Amazon wants to move up its annual Prime Day sales event. The sales spree usually happens in July, but Amazon is also thinking about holding an event earlier and another sales event in the fall. Amazon says it hasn't announced the dates just yet. Sales for Prime Day in 2019 generated nearly $7.1 billion.
And you could soon catch more of your favorite movies on Netflix starting next year. The streaming service says all movies by Sony Pictures will be available exclusively on Netflix after their home entertainment releases. A lot of the Marvel superhero flicks like Spider-Man, Venom, and a new franchise based on the vampire character Morbius are all going to be available to you.
The major stock indexes hovered around the flat line for much of the trading session today before racing higher into the closing bell. The Dow hit a fresh high today, adding 297 points to close at 33,801. The Nasdaq rose 71, and the S&P also hit a new high, up 32 points. Coming up in our next half hour, see how Salt Lake City police are working to keep people safe in even the most sensitive situations.
And we'll show you where you can save big and shop local over the next few weeks in Salt Lake City. While COVID-19 numbers are dropping slowly in Cache County, the 18 to 25-year-old age group still has the highest infection rate in the county.
As Fox 13's Brian Champagne reports, the Bear River Health Department has vaccinated more than 1,000 students in that age group at Utah State University.
Hey, Harrison, may I have your birthday?
After the paperwork
Any allergies that I should be aware of?
and a few questions,
So you don't have to come back. You're done after this.
it was roll up your sleeves and get your Johnson & Johnson vaccine, which requires only one shot.
We're at the end of the semester. The majority of our students will likely leave our campus.
I'm glad that I got to do this while I'm here and while I'm still in school, because it didn't have to, and I'm glad that it's Johnson & Johnson too. I wanted just the one and done.
For Eliza Monson, it's worthy of a selfie video.
COVID has been a huge part of my life, and I'm just really excited to get it over with. So I decided to shoot a video to kind of represent it being done.
USU says campus cases are dropping.
We're averaging 3 to 5 positive cases a day, which is down significantly than we were 2 months ago.
Which was?
We were right around 70 per day.
Brew attributes the decline to students.
The compliance ratio of our student population has been phenomenal. Couldn't be happier with what they've done.
The Bear River Health Department says they started the day with 1,065 doses. Due to some no-shows, they have about 30 or 40 left over, but say they won't leave until they administer all of those.
I got a text just from a friend saying that they had extra vaccines at this clinic that I knew was going on. And so I just put on shoes, rolled up out of the couch, and I came here.
Just barely got off work, and my friend texted me, and she was like, hey, they have extra vaccines.
But they're not easing up on masks here, requiring them through at least spring semester.
It's never been a big deal to me, so it's been fun.
I think it's really smart that the university is still putting the mask mandate in place.
As long as other people are still wearing masks and it's like being said that it's a good idea to keep doing it, I'll keep doing it for the next while.
It's better to be safe because not everybody's been vaccinated.
Brian Champagne, Fox 13 News, Utah.
State officials say 46,995 more vaccines have been administered since yesterday. Total of 1,650,850 doses have been administered in Utah, with 649,354 Utahns fully vaccinated.
The number of COVID-19 cases across Utah increased by 444. That brings the state's total cases to 389,353. 9 more people died. 8 of the 9 new deaths occurred before March 18th. Scientists say variants of COVID-19 can be more contagious and cause you to get sicker.
Dan Grossman goes in depth to explain why this puts children and young adults in the virus's crosshairs.
Cause and effect, two concepts that are commonly understood.
The B117 variant, the one originally found in the United Kingdom, has really fundamentally changed the game.
In this case, the former is easy. Dr. Michael Ostrom, Director of Infectious Disease Research at the University of Minnesota, explained it right there. He'll also explain the effect right here.
It's not that kids are more impacted, it's just how they are impacted.
Across the country, variant cases of COVID-19 are ticking higher. In Michigan, they make up 46% of active cases. In Colorado, 43%. In Florida, 45%. And in California, variants of the coronavirus make up a whopping 67% of active cases right now.
It is clearly more contagious, and it is likely to be more deadly. Because it's more contagious, more people are getting infected than would have gotten infected normally.
Cause and effect. Dr. Paul Offit sees it each day. He's the director of the vaccination center at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia and says right now more kids are in his care for COVID symptoms than ever before.
Not all schools are equally good at certain mitigation strategies for masking and social distancing. So I think those things are all combining to make it now somewhat more common in children.
The B117 variant of COVID, also known as the UK variant, is the most common in kids. Researchers say it can spread over longer distances and can cause more extreme versions of the side effects we all know about. Another reason it's affecting kids more directly is the fact that they're the lowest on the vaccine totem pole. CDC data shows 55% of seniors in the U.S. have been fully vaccinated, and 75% have received their first dose.
I think a lot of people don't realize just how much disease there has been in younger people.
To mitigate these effects, the same rules apply. Social distance, sanitize, and mask up as more states start to make children, teens, and young adults eligible for the vaccine. I'm Dan Grossman.
In other news today, the Salt Lake County District Attorney, Sim Gill, ruled 3 officers were justified when they fatally shot a man in Midvale last September.
You can see both of their arms are together, and this is the only one frame that we could get the presentment of the weapon.
The incident happened when police were chasing a fugitive who was found near a Motel 6. The fugitive and 2 passengers drove away from police after all 4 of their tires were spiked. Officers shot one of the passengers, Matthew Nolden, when he pointed a gun at them while trying to run away.
In this scenario, the officers did what they were trained to do because they perceived the threat. But it allows me to independently corroborate that because we should always have a critical eye.
Nolden was immediately taken to the hospital where he died from his wounds. The fugitive and other passenger were arrested later.
First responders with the Salt Lake City Police Department are the first in Utah and among the first in the country to complete sensory inclusive training through Culture City. The training initiative was introduced late last year after Salt Lake City police officers shot a 13-year-old boy with autism in September of 2020. The Culture City program focused on empathy and how to de-escalate situations when engaging with individuals with sensory needs.
What this does provide is an extra layer of understanding between individuals in public safety and members in our communities.
Officials say they have already seen the program pay off as officers have been able to strengthen the community by using skills learned in the training. Utah Jazz player Joe Ingles was a key person in getting the ball rolling for this program. His son is on the autism spectrum, and he and his wife sit on the Culture City board.
After 7 decades, Bountiful High School is changing its mascot. Bountiful High will continue to be the land of the free, but no longer the home of the Braves. Beginning next school year, they'll be known as the Bountiful High School Redhawks. This all happened after controversy involving both professional and college sports teams using Native American terms or mascots.
We felt that the mascot had served the Bountiful High School beautifully for years and years, and it was we were distancing some of our community, and so we felt it was a time to look at it, and through that process determined that it was time to make a change.
The high school's new logo and mascot will be in place by the start of the fall semester. Principal Hogue says the school colors and fight song will remain the same, except that Redhawks will replace Braves. Utah's congressional delegation joined Governor Cox and Lieutenant Governor Henderson and other top state officials today to issue a joint statement following Interior Secretary Deb Haaland's visit to Utah yesterday. She came to discuss the Bears Ears and Grand Staircase Escalante National Monuments.
They all agree in their belief that a permanent legislative solution on the monuments is the only path to resolving the dispute over monument boundaries and management. The statement goes on to say, quote, without protections against the Antiquities Act, Utah is left vulnerable to the whim of future presidents. We continue to urge the administration to work with us to craft a collaborative consensus plan that reflects the input of the people most directly impacted and ends the political back and forth that our communities have been subjected to for more than 25 years. A federal judge has approved a settlement extending oversight of San Juan County's elections through 2024. It was actually agreed to by the county, the ACLU, and the Navajo Nation Human Rights Commission. San Juan County was sued over moving to mail-in voting because it impacted Navajo voters. The county is agreeing to keep some in-person voting places and provide ballot translators through the 2024 elections.
Well, lots and lots and lots of sunshine all over northern Utah right now, and lots of sunshine in southern Utah too, but we got more.
Looks good.
But tomorrow is going to be even warmer, so it's perfect timing to have what I'm going to say is the best day in the 7-day forecast falling on a Saturday. But right now, a pretty pleasant Friday afternoon. It's in the mid-50s and will stay in the mid-50s until about 9-10 o'clock tonight. So you'll still have a few more hours of this current temperature, just that sun will go down here in just a few hours around 8 o'clock. But here across the state currently, most of us 50s and 60s. Tomorrow will be warmer and it will become breezy again tomorrow. But eastern Utah still pretty breezy here across the state and off to our east. And when we head into tomorrow, the top concern as far as the weather goes will be fire warnings for the western Uinta Basin. This will be until midnight tomorrow night, so 12 a.m. on Sunday. Salt Lake tonight, 10 p.m. in the mid-40s. Same thing at 8 a.m. as you wake up. Then by noon tomorrow, we're back into the 60s. So tomorrow will be a great day to get out, to go do that gardening that you need to do. But then we'll have the chance for some more rain and snow to actually move into the region next week. I'll have your forecast coming up.
Thank you, Allison. Coming up, we'll show you how Utah State University students are helping to make sure no one feels alone throughout the pandemic.
When you can't watch Fox 13 News live, watch us streaming online for free on Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV. Just search Fox 13 on your device to watch the news on your time. Today, the Spring Stroll kicked off in Salt Lake City, and more than 50 locally owned businesses are participating. It's a 2-week event geared towards shopping and dining at locally owned businesses with the chance to win prizes. Here's how it works. Shoppers will scan a QR code at participating businesses to check off places on a virtual passport. And every time someone scans their QR code, they're entered to win prizes, such as downtown dollars or a Sugar House gift package.
For every dollar you spend in a locally owned independent business, 55% of that dollar stays in Utah. It stays here recirculating in our local economy.
For more information on the Spring Stroll, go to fox13now.com.
With the pandemic taking a toll on so many of us over the past year, Utah State University has started a campaign to have students cheer each other up just by saying hello. The Say Hello campaign encourages students to say hello to someone else on campus so that they don't feel disconnected.
One recommendation I have, it's called Text 2 before 10. It's simple. It's just text 2 people before 10 a.m. It's a text of gratitude, of appreciation, of love, saying, hey, we need to get together sometime, or hey, I was just thinking about you. We need to connect again. And so it's reaching out and making those connections.
It's a great concept. This upcoming Monday, USU will be hosting a Hello Walk on the sidewalk north of the Quad from 10 in the morning till 2 in the afternoon. The Hello Walk is a longtime Aggie tradition and it will kick off A Week.
Still ahead, cherry blossoms are back at the Utah State Capitol, but for a limited time only. Learn about the rich history behind these beautiful trees.
And later in sports, Weber State with a chance this weekend to do something the football program has never done before. While Tony Finau makes his push at the Masters, a great second round at Augusta National. I'll show it to you in a bit.
Students at Mary W. Jackson Elementary School in Salt Lake City are celebrating their school namesake's 100th birthday.
We're celebrating Mary W. Jackson's birthday by launching rockets.
There they go. The celebration of the former NASA engineer and mathematician included special science lessons, which involved the mechanics of rocket building and, of course, rocket launching.
Every grade has also done their own rocket launch, but they launch them differently. Just the upper grades had to create from scratch and launch for the rest of the school.
The school was renamed Mary W. Jackson Elementary in 2018. Now, this is the first year the school celebrated her birthday, but they say they plan to do it every year going forward.
One of the most impressive signs of spring in Utah is the blooming of the cherry trees at the Utah State Capitol.
Yes, indeed, the bloom has begun. Fox 13's Todd Tanner has the story.
Magical.
I really think it's magical.
Every spring, cherry trees encircling the Utah State Capitol transform the grounds for a week or so.
I think the prime time for these blossoms is going to be this weekend.
How many trees line the path?
There are 433.
Dana Jones of the Capitol Preservation Board asks that if you come, you follow the flow of one-way traffic as a COVID precaution.
We just hope that people will see the signs, that they'll be respectful and mindful of each other.
We're enjoying the cherry blossoms, going on a family stroll.
Callie Scheisse and family are making the 0.7-mile walk under the branches, making stops along the way.
Got to get some pictures, of course.
It's now a tradition.
I wanted to make sure that we could come out every year and visit.
Japan gifted cherry trees to Utah's capital in the early 1900s.
Most of those trees were destroyed with the tornado in '99, and the ones that did survive, they were kind of at their end of life cycle.
So the ones you see today are about 20 years old. Jones worried about them after the windstorm last fall that toppled bigger trees.
We lost a lot of history in that storm.
On the Capitol grounds, you can still see the scars where some of those big trees came down in that September storm, but all of the cherry trees survived.
I just think it's neat that the Capitol can be a part of people's lives in a way that's not government.
She says people are so fascinated with the cherries that they often overlook the flowering pears in the center of the Capitol complex.
They're gorgeous.
In Salt Lake City,
this creates memories.
Todd Tanner, Fox 13 News, Utah.
You got to hand it to Japan for being so generous with their cherry trees. Literally, they donate cherry trees to places all across the country. Japanese cherry
grateful
trees are
indeed.
famous.
You get to enjoy it all here at home.
Yes, absolutely. And tomorrow you'll certainly enjoy. Highs will be around 70 degrees, so quite a bit warmer than where we were today. Right now, we're still in the mid-50s for the Wasatch Front, 57 for Provo, 52 up in Logan. If you're joining us from Nephi right now, the temperature is 58 degrees, 54 for Twilla, 60s for Price, Green River, Moab, and down into St. George currently in the 70s. So let's talk about the wind for tomorrow. First half of the day will be a cool start. We'll warm up pretty quickly tomorrow, and then second half of the day into tomorrow night, our wind will ramp up again. Now, the worst of the wind will be up into Wyoming. So the areas of yellow that you're seeing, that is wind about 25 to 35 miles per hour. But the strongest wind will mostly stay off to our north. So if you're planning on driving through Wyoming or Idaho for this weekend, especially through Saturday afternoon, something to keep in mind. Could see some travel impacts there. Now we look at satellite and radar here across the state, and of note here across Utah, not a whole lot happening. Clear sky. Off to our east, though, severe storms into the southeastern portion of the country are possible through the evening hours. And our main threat here across Utah through tonight, what we're seeing for Castle Country, San Rafael Swell, that'll be fire warnings until 9 p.m. And then for tomorrow, the western Uinta Basin will continue with red flag warnings until midnight tomorrow night. But the rest of your Friday night here in Salt Lake City, temperatures in the 50s through the 9 o'clock hour. Then we're back into the 40s by bedtime tonight. And then as you wake up tomorrow morning, it'll be in the upper 30s here along the Wasatch Front. So it will be a chilly start tomorrow with mostly clear sky, but then forecast at a glance looking really good. Salt Lake highs are on 70 tomorrow. Ogden, same thing, close to 70. And for St. George, yet again, close to 70. Now across central and southern Utah, Cedar City, 71 tomorrow, Richfield, 69, and for St. George, mid-80s. And then across eastern Utah, Moab in the 70s tomorrow, Price, 68, and for Vernal, 70 for a high on your Saturday. Now let's talk about the next couple of days, because this front's going to move through tomorrow night, a mostly dry cold front, at least for Utah, and we'll see that wind picking up as we look at the second half of the day on Saturday into early Sunday. Then definitely something that you'll want to pay attention to next week, the forecast middle of the week. Tuesday through Thursday, we'll start seeing increased chances for rain and maybe even snow to develop down to the valley floors. So I've got my eye on middle of next week, that possibility of getting some more snow even into the valleys here across Utah. So next week, just know there is a pattern shift that's possible for the middle of the week. Now, overnight temperatures as you get up tomorrow morning will be about 30 to 40 for most of the state. St. George close to 50, and then highs tomorrow afternoon will be around 55 to 70 here across Utah. So a fantastic Saturday ahead with that wind picking up second half of the day. So still just be cognizant of fire concerns, especially for the western Uinta Basin. St. George, you're colder than last weekend, but I hesitate to call it cold because let's call it cooler then, just because you're still in the 80s through the weekend and then middle of next week close to 70. And for Salt Lake City, we'll have temperatures close to 70 tomorrow, close to 50 for Sunday after that cold front, with increased chances for rain and snow Tuesday through Thursday of next week.
Tony Finau was a run-of-the-mill 2 over par after stage 1 of the Masters, but round 2 for the Salt Lake native got off to a hopping start, setting the stage for a fun weekend at Augusta National. But start with some Mike Weir, the former Masters champ and BYU product, hovering around the cut line, ending well with a bird at 18, -1 for the day, but his 5 over just a couple strokes shy of surviving into tomorrow. All right, now to Tony. This is the par 5-2, just an incredible approach that not only reaches the green, but bends back in his favor, only a couple feet shy of the flag. He'd eagle that hole, then to cap a brilliant front 9. A birdie roll from just off the green this time. Finau did bogey twice on the back, but his round 2 66 was the best score of the day, putting him in a tie for 6th at -4. 3 strokes off the leader, Justin Rose.
I do think I've had, a really successful career, but not quite a winning career. And that comes from, I think, winning a big one. And I feel like I carry a lot of confidence playing these big events because I have competed at a high level in a lot of them. But I think missing a W keeps me humble and hungry. And hopefully I can notch that off this week.
The Jazz last night responded from a tough OT loss in Phoenix. Then again, they've been responding at home ever since New Year's Eve. Call it 23 straight now at the Viv. Utah using a dominant third quarter to topple Portland by 19. Rudy Gobert put up a 21 spot on the board, second best rebounding game of the season for him, while Donovan Mitchell spearheaded a 25-4 Jazz run to end the third. A nice win after back-to-back setbacks this week on the road.
First off, you don't lose 2 in a row, and then you don't lose 3. You definitely don't lose 3. That's kind of the mindset. So this was a must win. We kind of put, our focus on that. But we just got to be ready at every game. Every game. We just started with this. We got things we can definitely work on and improve on from the road trip that we have to address. Nothing too crazy. If you want to be the last team standing, we got a lot of things we got to continue to harp on and continue to focus on.
Weber State began the campaign with a rout in Pocatello over Idaho State. The Wildcats also winning their next 3, though. Those were all nail-biters. But with a trip to Cal Poly canceled, the second-ranked Wildcats are ending their regular season against the Bengals as well. This time in Ogden tomorrow afternoon. With a victory, Jay Hill's squad can claim their 4th consecutive Big Sky championship, though the first outright conference title in program history. But they battled their share of key injuries to get there.
I'll go to fight with Bronson Barron now. He's proven that he'll go in there and finish a game with a broken wrist, and then within a week he's back in the game. Battle, fight, claw, dig. Josh Davis the same way. He sprains his ankle on Saturday, and he was right out there today doing everything he could to be back on the field. That's just who these guys are, and what they are fighting to overcome right now, because it's important to them.
We'll be right back.
Oh, my goodness. It just doesn't get more beautiful than this, does it?
No. Well, tomorrow.
Saturday, Allison's been eyeing Saturday. This is a great start, Bob.
And it's warmer. How about that? And you're not working, Bob. Come on.
That's right.
Get out and enjoy it.
Now I remember. We'll see you at 9 o'clock.
Have a good night, everyone.